Well, we all know that relationships are not always easy. That's if you can even manage to get yourself into one. I'm Christine Bentley in studio with Sharon Caddy, and joining us is our favorite coach and author, Paul J. Meredith. And today we're talking about long distance relationships. Now, I would think it's tough enough from what I hear. I mean, I'm single and not in a relationship. Sharon, you are, and it's not a long distance one, but I would think that it's hard enough to maintain day to day, let alone long distance. Is it kind of doomed, Paul, from the beginning, or not so much?
Well, you know what, I mean, anything can work, of course. I'm not a big fan of long distance relationships because I believe you need to have that intimate connection with the person. You know, you want to be sitting across from them, you want to cuddle, you want to do all this stuff. It can work, but there has to be a lot more communication and openness when it comes to long distance relationships.
I think a lot of women have a fear that with men it's out of sight, out of mind. So if you don't kind of, if you're not seeing him on a regular basis, and if he's not kind of, you're not one-on-one,
Right.
that he's going to be wandering.
Although, Paul, I have to question, though, I guess guys would feel the same thing.
Well, it's because you're not seeing that person all the time, it's very, very easy to wander and keep your eye out for other things. I mean, an ideal situation, of course, is going to have is going to be for you to have that person right there with you all the time. So if they're not with you, then you happen to meet someone else, let's say, that pushes the right buttons, that looks good, and you have that connection with, because you can have a connection with more than one person,
Sure.
right? So if you meet someone else and you start to form a strong connection with them, you're going to start to drift.
Let's say Christine meets Mr. Fabulous, who happens to be visiting the city for the weekend, but there's that instant connection. Like, there's no denying there's a connection between Christine and John Doe, the hot guy. So
No, Sharon, there'll be no long distance. I'm quitting my job. I'm getting on a plane.
Okay.
I'm following him.
Okay, but let's say it takes you a few.
I'm going to Venice. That's it.
But it takes you a month to get all the stuff in line to do
Okay.
that. So for a month, you're going to have this long distance relationship. So Paul, what are the ways you can make a long distance relationship work?
Well, for one, you have to have a plan. You have to know where it's going, and like I said earlier, you have to have a lot of open communication. A lot more so. I mean, communication is important in any relationship that you're in, but when it's a long distance relationship, it's all that much more important, because the biggest point to watch out for here is complacency. And you don't want to get complacent in any relationship, especially one that is long distance. Now, it's important to see that person. I would say you want to make a point to see them at least once a month, if not more frequently than that. You know, one of my best friends, he was in a long-distance relationship for about 2 years, and now they're together, but they flew out to see each other twice a month.
So it was, I mean, you really have to work at it.
You got to make that deal pretty much. It can't be all one person going to see the other. You got to make a deal.
Of course, and exactly, and it has to be a two-way street, because it can be easy for a guy to sit there and say, yeah, you know, I'll just sit back, I'll let her come to me, she can pay for all the flights, she can pay for everything, and then in the meantime, I'm looking out for something better that's local.
So let me ask you this, and you know, this is a gross generalization, but what I hear from my friends, what I, you know, have experienced is that men seem to be more needy. They need more attention 24/7 than women. So women probably survive the long distance thing a little easier, as long as they know there's a commitment, as long as they know, you know, do men do it well, long distance? Do they do it better, worse than women, or better, or does it really not matter?
I don't think it matters, and I don't agree with the point on the neediness either, because there's a lot of needy men out there. There's no question whatsoever. I'll be the first to agree with that. But there's a lot of needy women out there as well, and there's a lot of women out there who will just, you know, they want things to work out so bad. They want to be with that special person just so badly. So they look at things in a certain way. They'll try to shift things in their mind to try to make this person into the perfect relationship for them, even though it isn't. They may turn a blind eye to signals that they may otherwise pick up on.
Yeah.
But they want it to be a certain way, so they try to mold it into that certain way. And a lot of times they're just setting themselves up for disaster in that.
But it does
particular
sound like the key is, though, there has to be, even if it's one day a month, 2 days a month, there has to be some actual face-to-face time. Because this is where I start to wonder when people, a lot of the long distance people are meeting online. Because sometimes when you are meeting people online, you're not necessarily just meeting people from your 4-block radius. It can be quite distant. There's that risk if you don't meet people face to face of falling victim to some of these, what do they call it, catfishing kind of thing, where maybe it's not even a real person you've met.
You have no, well, I mean, fortunately with the marvels of modern technology, we have webcams and FaceTime and stuff like that. So you can see who it is you're talking to, so you know who it is you're talking to, because otherwise you have no idea who you could be talking to.
But it's even in a marriage. My sister, for example, has been married for, in the late, I don't know, 25 or something years. They have a fabulous marriage. She travels globally for weeks and weeks and weeks at a time. And you're talking about communication. They Skype, I think, almost every night, even if it's only for 10 minutes. But they will Skype or FaceTime almost every night. So they keep it going.
Then they're a good example of how you make it work.
Absolutely. And the daily connection, the daily phone conversations and FaceTimes and webcam, that's all extremely important.
The little stuff. All the little stuff that you think, oh, you're going to save it. You're going to save it for the big stuff, but they talk about the little stuff. Like the lock broke and I had to get a new lock, and guess what? The tree fell down or whatever. Mundane stuff, but she feels like she's part of the day-to-day at home, and he feels like he's on the work trip with her. So they don't feel there's any disconnect.
As long as they're getting together once in a while, because you have to have, it's very important that for any successful relationship to work, you have to have that intimate connection. There has to be that sexual, physical connection, and you can create a certain amount, thank God for webcams again and stuff like that, and FaceTime, you can get pretty creative and have a lot of fun there, but you do need to get together. I have a friend who, she's been doing long-distance relationships for the past 9 years and had many different long-distance relationships.
Why?
You know what?
Why is she a serial long-distance relationshipper?
That's what it seems to be.
Why? Maybe she doesn't want the guy in her hair.
Well, I mean, because I talked to her about this over the weekend too, when I was down in Florida, and she says that she wants that intimate connection. She wants to be together, and she's like, well, if it goes really well, then I'll move to wherever he may be. I'll relocate my business, what have you. But she's been doing this consistently for 9 years with different people.
Well, maybe she just needs to move because nobody had is good enough.
So maybe Florida isn't the place for her. Maybe Toronto isn't the place for me. I mean, I don't know, but I think I would not get into multiple, one after the other after the other. I mean, occasionally, something pops up, but this is odd that I mean, have you asked her whether she'd actually date the guy next door?
Well, she's very open to having. She'd love to have somebody that's close to her, that's in her at least the same city, or
within a driving distance,
at least the same state. But or at least
doesn't sound like it to me.
At least a few hours away, and a few hours away is even a long distance relationship. But at least it allows you to get together and spend weekends together. Yeah. But she lives in Florida, and this guy she's dating now, who she's just met with once for 25 minutes. They had a 25-minute meeting face to face. That's it. And I think it's been 6 weeks or something that they've she says that they've been together now, and
together is what?
Well,
emails and texts and Skypes.
And they talk on the phone every night for at least an hour, which is good. But after the amount of time that's gone past, a quick 25-minute meeting outside of an airport. I mean, we need more than that.
I don't call that a relationship.
No, I am sorry, I don't call that a relationship. No. I call that a part-time hobby. Like that's an online. Where does he live exactly?
He lives in California, so they're not even in the same time zone. They're 3 hours apart.
Oh, Lord. So what did you tell her?
You know what? She is. I said I didn't spend a lot of time talking to her about this, but when
she told you about the 25 minutes,
she told me
and we've been together 6 weeks after a 25-minute meeting. Paul, what did you tell her? You are a coach. Come on.
I said, look, you've got to I said, you have to get together more frequently than that.
Sure.
And she knows that. They're working on making it work. I talked about their intimate connection that they have over the phone and through FaceTime and how much time that they spend with each other, on the phone. But of course, I stress that that's not enough. I mean,
you did tell her that this is not a relationship, technically.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because it's not. I mean, she can refer to the guy as her boyfriend all she wants, but if he's not referring to her as his girlfriend, which I highly doubt that he is, he could be. I mean, I don't know. They have spent a lot of time over the phone, and you can build a very strong connection on the phone, but it's just not complete if you're not meeting up with them on a regular basis.
So I don't understand why flights from Florida to California are not that much.
Mm-hmm.
How come somebody hasn't jumped on a plane to at least spend a weekend to spend a couple of days with one another?
Because you don't
In
really
6
want a
weeks.
relationship. You want the
Yeah.
online friendship.
Are you not suspicious about this? Because I am.
And that part is huge, because online especially, you're going to get a lot of married men.
Exactly.
Right?
My thoughts. I'm so glad you said that.
You're going to get a lot of married men that they're just looking for that one thing on the side. They're not happy in their relationship.
Did you notice, Sharon, how we had to drag this out of him? I mean, I have terrible, terrible radar with people, but I was thinking, there's something not right.
Yeah.
Had to drag it out of you, Paul. How come?
Yeah, I mean,
you're thinking the same thing we are.
Red
which is
flags
there's
are flying
red
everywhere.
flags. Like, really? Come on. I mean,
And-
what is it? A couple $100 from Florida to California in 6 weeks? You spend an hour on the phone every night and
Yeah.
you can't get on a
Yeah.
plane?
well, the thing is too, and this married man thing. I mean, this can happen with this can happen even locally.
Oh,
Sure.
yes.
I mean, that's
We
why
all-
it's important. If he always wants to come over to your place, and if he's never available between the hours of 7 and 9 p.m., or maybe with a few exceptions, you have to look for these kinds of red
You know
flags.
what just occurred to me? She's talking to him for an hour with a time difference. He's probably just finishing up his hour at the office before he
Exactly.
goes home.
yeah.
Oh boy!
Oh, my goodness.
I hope she. You want to tell her, Paul, that this segment can be heard on demand
Yes.
on Sirius XM if she wants to really find out what other women that who she doesn't even know really think about this.
That's right.
Terrific.
Thank you so much for joining us, Paul J. Meredith. This is What She Said
Yes.
on Canada Talks 167 Sirius XM.